This article is about the demographic features of the population of Switzerland, including population density, ethnicity, education level, health of the populace, economic status, religious affiliations and other aspects of the population. Switzerland had a population of 8.02 million as of 2012. Its population quadrupled over the period 1800 to 1990. Population growth was steepest in the period after World War II. It slowed down during the 1970s to 1980s and has since again picked up to 1% during the 2000s. More than 75% of the population live in the Central Plain, which stretches between the Alps and the Jura Mountains and from Geneva in the southwest to the Rhine River and Lake Constance in the northeast. Foreigners with permanent residency make up about 23% of the population. Census. The federal population census has been carried out every 10 years starting in 1850. The census was initiated by federal councillor Stefano Francini, who evaluated the data of the first census all by himself after Parliament failed to provide the necessary funds. The census is now being conducted by the Swiss Federal Statistical Office, which makes most results available on its website. Collected data includes population data, household data, accommodation data and building data. Participation is compulsory and reached 99.87% of the population in 2000. Since 2010, the population census has been carried out and analyzed annually in a new format by the Federal Statistical Office. In order to ease the burden on the population, the information is primarily drawn from population registers and supplemented by sample surveys. Only a small proportion of the population are surveyed in writing or by telephone. The first reference day for the new census was the 31st of December 2010. Population. Total of registered residents growth rate. During the 19th and 20th centuries, population growth rate has been at 0.7% to 0.8%, with a doubling time of California. 90 years. In the later 20th century, the growth rate has fallen below 0.7%, and in the 2000s it has risen again slightly, mostly due to immigration. In 2007 the population grew at a much higher 1.1% rate, again mostly due to immigration. For 2008, the population grew 1.6%, a level not seen since the early 1960s. Total fertility rate 1.46 children born woman, 1.33 children born Swiss woman, 1.86 children born non-Swiss woman. Vital statistics since 1900, data according to Statistics Schweiz and United Nations. Age structure. As population growth curbs, the percentage of elderly people increases. In July 2015, the Swiss Federal Office of Statistics published a projection estimating that by 2045, the ratio of residents over the retirement age of 65 would climb to 48.1 per 100 residents between 20 and 64 years old, and possibly as high as 50.0 in the highest case. In 2015 that ratio was only 29.1 per 100 residents. Sex ratio. Life expectancy at birth. According to statistics released by the federal government in 2008, life expectancy stands at 79.7 years for men and 84.4 years for women, for an overall average of 82.1 years for the populace as a whole. Nationality. Encompassing the Central Alps, Switzerland sits at the crossroads of several major European cultures. Its population includes a two-thirds majority of Alemannic German speakers and a one-quarter Latin minority. See Linguistic geography of Switzerland. 10% of the population natively speak an immigrant language. Switzerland consistently ranks high on quality of life indices, including per capita income, concentration of computer and internet usage per capita, insurance coverage per individual, and health care rates. For these and many other reasons, such as the 4 languages, it serves as an excellent test market for businesses hoping to introduce new products into Europe. Permanent residence by nationality. The number of registered resident foreigners was 1,001,887 in 1970. This amount decreased to 904,337 in 1979, and has increased steadily since that time, passing the 20% mark during 2001 and rising to 1,524,663 in 2004. The number of Swiss citizens thus numbered about 5.9 million in that year. In 2013 there were a total of 1,937,447 permanent residents in Switzerland. Of these, 1.65 million resident foreigners had European citizenship. From other continents, 122,941 residents were from Asia, 83,873 from Africa, 78,433 from the Americas, and 4,145 from Oceania. The following chart shows permanent resident numbers from selected regions and countries every 5 years. Source: Tamil refugees fleeing from war in Sri Lanka are the largest number of Asians, while Albanians and other former Yugoslavians continue to grow in number. Switzerland is also the second largest European country in number of acceptance of Iraqi refugees fleeing from the violence in Iraq since 2003, but behind Great Britain, Germany and Sweden in the number of Iraqis taken residence for a European country. Naturalization. In 2004, 35,700 people acquired Swiss citizenship according to Swiss nationality law, a figure slightly larger than that of the previous year, and 4 times larger than the 1990 figure. About a third of those naturalized are from a successor state of former Yugoslavia, 7,900 Serbia Montenegro, 2,400 Bosnia-Herzegovina, 2,000 Macedonia, 1,600 Croatia, 4,200 were from Italy, 3,600 from Turkey, 1,600 from Sri Lanka, 1,200 from Portugal, and 1,200 from France. The yearly rate of naturalization has quintupled over the 1990s and 2000s, from roughly 9,000 to 45,000. Relative to the population of resident foreigners, this amounts to an increase from 8% in 1990 to 27% in 2007, or relative to the number of Swiss citizens from 1.6% in 1990 to 7.3% in 2007. The following table shows the historical development of naturalization from selected countries. Emigration in 2004. 623,100 Swiss citizens lived abroad, the largest group in France, followed by the USA and Germany. Religions. Switzerland has no state religion, though most of the cantons recognize official churches, in all cases including the Catholic Church and the Swiss Reformed Church. These churches, and in some cantons also the Old Catholic Church and Jewish congregations, are financed by official taxation of adherents. Christianity is the predominant religion of Switzerland, but is slowly shrinking over the decades. 20% of the total population were irreligious in 2010. The largest minority religion is Islam, 5%. In 2000, 5.78 million residents were Christian. 809,800 were without any religious affiliation. 310,800 were Muslim, 17,900 were Jewish. The 2005 Eurobarometer poll found 48% of Swiss residents to be theist, 39% expressing belief in some sort of spirit or life force, 9% atheist, and 4% said that they don't know. As of 2012, there were 918,126 people aged 15 to 24 in Switzerland, of which 347,328 were Catholics, 232,634 Protestants, 57,033 other Christian denominations, 2,005 Jewish, 76,502 Muslims, 12,992 other religious communities, and 176,969 without religion. Languages. The four national languages of Switzerland are German, French, Italian and Romansh. Native speakers number about 64% for German, 20% for French, 7% for Italian and less than 0.5% for Romansh. The non-official language with the largest group of native speakers is Serbo-Croatian with 103,000 speakers in 2000, followed by Albanian with 95,000, Portuguese with 89,500, Spanish with 77,500, English with 73,000, Macedonian 61,300, and a total of 173,000 speakers of other languages, amounting to roughly 10% of the population with a native language not among the four official languages. Education. Almost all Swiss illiterate. Switzerland's 13 institutes of higher learning enrolled 99,600 students in the academic year of 2001-02. About 25% of the adult population hold a diploma of higher learning, according to the CIA World Factbook data for 2003. 99% of the Swiss population aged 15 and over could read and write, with the rate being identical for both sexes. During the 2008-09 school year, there were 1,502,257 students in the entire Swiss educational system. In kindergarten or preschool, there were 152,919 students. These students were taught by 13,592 teachers in 4,949 schools, of which 301 were private schools. There were 777,394 students in the obligatory schools, which include primary and lower secondary schools. These students were taught by 74,501 teachers in 6,083 schools, of which 614 were private. The upper secondary school system had 337,145 students. They were taught by 13,900 teachers in 730 schools, of which 240 were private. The tertiary education system had 234,799 students. They were taught by 37,546 teachers in 367 schools. Regional disparities. Source: crime. The police registered a total of 553,421 criminal offences in 2009, including 51 killings and 185 attempted murders. There were 616 cases of rape. In the same year, 94,574 adults were convicted under criminal law. 57.3% of convictions were for traffic offences. In the same year, 15,064 minors were convicted. The number of convicted persons is given in the following tables. Each class of crime references the relevant section of the Strafgesetzbuch, or Bettobungsmittelgesetz, or the Straßenverkehrsgesetz. A 2014 conviction numbers may not include convictions overturned on appeal. Due to privacy protection laws, some convictions are not included. A 2014 conviction numbers may not include convictions overturned on appeal. Due to privacy protection laws, some convictions are not included. Major cities